Bills Mafia, what's going on? Yes, according to the chats, it's Overreaction Tuesday. There's nothing to overreact to, John. Everything's fine. Everything's great. We're just going to talk about moving on to Carolina after the bye week. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So me, John and myself were talking before we came live, and this is going to be a not safe for work podcast because I feel like there's a lot of pent up frustration. John and myself haven't been able to get on for the past couple weeks. And obviously since then, there's been 2 losses. And John brought up the fact that we were pointing things out as the Bills were still winning games. So we were being called nitpickers and negative Nancy's and yada, yada, yada. So we're going to dive into some stuff here. I told John there's no notes today. It's just going to be based off of emotion. It's going to be based off of the eye test. It's going to be based off of what we've seen from this team the last 2 weeks. And, you know, it's very similar to what we went through last year, but I feel like it's a little bit worse than last year. So, John, how we doing, man, on this Tuesday?
You already prefaced by saying that we're not safe for work, right? We already said that. Okay.
Yeah, we did. Well, you're good. You're good. Let it fly, brother.
Yeah, dude, I'm fucking livid. Last night sucked. It was on just so many different levels, and it's like, oh yeah, the team's still 4-2, and what a great record. And a lot of teams would be envious of being 4-2. There's not a lot of teams in the NFL that would be envious of the way that Buffalo has played over the last 2 weeks. Issues that have been issues the entire season that have been masked by Josh Allen heroics and playing inferior opponents and timely turnovers and things like that. Has kept it down a little bit, and it's been able to be like, yeah, this team's rolling. They look like the class of the AFC. They got some things to clean up, but sure, they're winning games. Everything's good. It's the Bills division until otherwise. Well, guess fucking what? What team is in first place right now? The Patriots.
Yeah. 2 weeks. It just took 2 weeks.
2 weeks. They have the tiebreaker over us and the same record. They were in first place of the AFC East for the first time in 4 years, I think it is. No, 6.
6 years.
6 years since the last time.
The win game.
Yeah. So, no, I'm not good. I'm not at all good. This is going to be a therapy session of the highest order. We're going to dive into a lot of issues that are going on with this team and what they do about it, and if they can do anything about it, or if this team is just simply not good enough, which might be the conclusion at the end of the episode. I don't know. But there's a lot to talk about with this roster right now.
All right. So if I had to ask you, and someone on the street asked you,
I have like heartburn right now. Holy shit.
Yeah. If I had to ask you, because I get called so many things, and I'm a part of so many different group chats, and obviously I'm heavily invested, just like you are, John, on X and social media, and I run the Built in Buffalo social media platforms and things like that, but more so on Twitter. I can give more of, on my personal page, my personal opinions, and I've tried to defend Sean McDermott for the better part of since 13 seconds. We'll start there with 13 seconds. I've been called, why are you, okay, everything's great. Like, yes, he's a defensive minded head coach, but the defense is always the problem, blah, blah, blah. I've gone to bat for him for so many years. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I think that there's a better option currently available. There could be next year or the year after, but who's to blame for what's going on? Let's just talk about right now, here and now. Let's keep it here and now. Who's to blame? Is it Brandon Beane for giving the players to Sean McDermott? Is it Sean McDermott? Is it Bobby Babich? Last night we could blame Joe Brady. Like, let's pick one and let's start. Where does the buck stop and where does it start, and where do we need to we'll trickle down from there? What's your overall thoughts?
Man, that's a loaded question. I'll start by saying that I have very much been like you in the defend Sean McDermott camp since the 13-second game. I will say, though, that I think for the first time, I'm really starting to doubt that. I just don't know if he is the guy that's going to get this team there anymore. Like you said, he's a defensive-minded head coach, and the defense has been a problem. And I'm not seeing a lot of innovation coming from him. I think that he's trying to be the master of the thing that he's been the master of for a long time, but people have figured out what that thing is. And I think the game is evolving, and I'm not sure that he's keeping pace with his scheme. And I know that he's not the defensive coordinator, but instead of bringing in someone with innovative ideas that can infuse some different looks and wrinkles into this, he promoted from within. He promoted someone that he taught his system to.
Right.
So now you just have an echo chamber of his system in the building without there being someone else speaking into it. And listen, I'm not going to try to say that I know what's said inside that building. I don't.
Right.
But I'm starting to doubt it. I'm starting to doubt it. And part of it is personnel. That's why I'm saying it's such a loaded question, because part of it is scheme. Part of it is personnel in terms of Brandon Beane and what he's done for this roster or lack thereof. I don't really know where to start. I guess I'll just start with Sean McDermott, because some of the decision making of this team year in and year out in crunch moments has just been bad. And those decisions fall on him. Oh, don't worry, we're going to get to Josh. Like he is not blameless in this conversation at all. He had a bad game. And we're going to talk about, and he's had multiple bad games this year. We're going to talk about it. The decision making, though, with what goes on with McDermott, we've had like botched 4th and goal situations over the last couple of years, going for it on 4th down versus not going for it on 4th down. Last night you were down, I think it was 14. Yeah, 21-7 at the time. You are past half field, not quite in field goal range, 4th and 3. And you're gonna fucking punt? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, as soon as Josh started coming off the field, I was like, what in the hell decision making is this, McDermott? I just do not understand the decision making. So I think that and a predictability on defense, and they've tried to kind of spice it up a little bit this season. You've seen some mug looks where they bring people down and they spin out, and that's been great to see sometimes. But I think the defense is just easy to predict. They're not throwing enough wrinkles out there. They're not innovating. They're not changing with the way that the game is changing. They're not adjusting their scheme enough for their opponents. Like last night, guys, you know exactly what Atlanta's going to do.
Yeah.
It's Bijan Robinson and Drake London.
Yeah.
It's Bijan and Drake. That's it. That you know exactly who you have to account for. And those two lit you up.
Yeah.
Lit you up. I went into a group chat that I was in last night before the game started. I predicted Bijan Robinson 205 scrimmage yards.
Yeah.
And I thought that, you know what? It'll be high, probably. Yeah. No.
We were texting last night and I said over under 200.
Yeah. Yeah. I set the line at 205. 205 scrimmage yards for a running back. He's an elite running back. Absolutely. But you know that he's the guy that you have to account for. You understand that. You have to do something to stop it. And instead, the scheme was predictable. They got outmatched in the box. It was helmet on a helmet for most of the game. Nobody could shed a fucking block for the life of them. And then missed tackles on the back end. Where were the linebackers, by the way? Where was the run fit from the linebackers? They were nowhere to be found. They were getting washed out as well. So you have open lanes, helmet on a helmet, offensive lineman versus your defense. Nobody getting off their blocks. Safeties are the last line of defense, and they're bouncing off of him just like they do every running back in every single week. So you did not scheme for exactly what you knew that they were going to do. And that to me is a problem.
So there's, and like I said, there's so much that we can, like, so many layers to all of this as far as personnel, execution, coaching, scheme, whatever. But to me, last night's game, now the Falcons had some success in the second half, but why did the defense not play? Why did Sean McDermott / Bobby Babich get the defense ready to start the game the way that they had to finish that game? They only gave up 3 points in the second half. Yep. And why isn't that the mantra starting the game? Let's get spicy. Let's do things that we might think are uncomfortable, but let's throw some wrinkles at the Falcons. Let's throw some wrenches into the game plan and figure out if that's going to work. Because then if that doesn't work, you go back to the tried and true. Because to me, McDermott seems like a guy who rests on the fact that I'm not going to put these guys in a bad situation. I know what they can do, and I want them to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he wants to rope it up his opponents. He wants to just take conservative body blows, get to halftime, and try and adjust. Well, guess what? You did adjust, and it was better in the second half. Just start the game.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially going against a quarterback with only, 8 career starts?
Yeah. He had 4 total touchdowns coming into the game.
This is the guy to try and confuse. You want to try and confuse him. And exactly like we said in the Miami game. Remember, Miami took it close to Buffalo. When we went into that game thinking this is a game that Buffalo should blow them out.
Right.
I was like 72-3 going into that game. And they were close because all you have to do is apply pressure, which Buffalo can't do, and get the quarterback off his first read. Michael Penix is exactly the same way. Apply pressure and get him off his first read. He's super hot on his first read. When he can get the ball out in space to his guys, it's great. When you get him off of that, his decision-making plummets. His first read is always Drake London.
Drake London, yeah.
It's always Drake London. And if it's not Drake London, it's Bijan Robinson. But you should be able to figure out who's going to be the first read. It's one of those two guys. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
You take him off of that, wrinkles at him, create some confusing looks, blitz packages, whatever it is. And they didn't do any of it. They just tried to play conservative. And like you said, well, I know my guys are capable, so they're going to get the job done. They're not that capable. This is not a talented defense. And entering the year, it was going to be average at best. And it's not at best. It's well below average. This defense is a liability to this team outside of a couple players. And yes, I know that there are injuries and I know that that matters, but guys that you just paid big money to are doing nothing.
I know.
And huge
does Matt Milano make a difference last night if he plays?
I would hope so, but I don't know.
Exactly. And that's that's who we're making excuses. Well, Matt Milano didn't play, and who knows? We don't have Maxwell Hairston and Trey's out there, and blah blah blah. Like, it doesn't. Every team has injuries. I understand it, and look, the roster was constructed this offseason by Brandon Beane, and let's flip to Brandon Beane for a minute because I want to talk about him. So the roster and you and me, we talked about it leading up to the start of the season. Like, it was gonna take some time to get all these new parts chugging along and all these new blitz packages we were told about all training camp, because they brought in 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢, who's this blitz package master, to help all this stuff. But to me, it's like, I'm watching Joey Bosa. I'm seeing nothing now. I'm watching Greg Rousseau. I'm seeing nothing now. Ed Oliver played pretty good last night. You have a 4th-round draft pick in Deon Walker, who's been your most consistent player on defense.
Props to Deon, man. He's looking good.
Yeah, and then you go to the linebackers, okay? Bernard, obviously he was dinged up last night, but he didn't look good last night. Milano's out. Then you go to the secondary. I don't know what's going on with Christian Benford, but he doesn't look good. Cole Bishop, like last night, I don't know how you just don't push Bijan Robinson out of bounds. Like, literally, that's all you have to do. You are a safety. No pun intended, the safety blanket. You're back there as the last line of defense. Push the guy out of bounds. We were sold that you were this physical specimen that can do all this stuff that not normal safeties can do. And then I don't even want to talk about Taylor Rapp, because he should not be starting for this team anymore. He takes horrible angles on every tackle he tries to make. And if that's scheme and he's being put in bad positions, so be it. Whatever it is. But you got TJ Sanders, who's now on IR, right? We've gotten nothing from Landon Jackson, who is probably, this is what we're probably going to get all season. You had DaQuan Jones get injured during warmups last night. He is 32, 33. We've gotten nothing from Greg Rousseau. I don't know where Joey Bosa has been the last 3 or 4 weeks since the Jets game. The linebackers aren't good. The DBs aren't good. So if you're Brandon Beane and you went on WGR and you said the defense was the issue and we fixed it, that's what we or that's what we addressed. Has it been addressed? I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel with Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi. Like they're magically going to make this defense that much better. I mean, they're going to help, yes, but I don't know. What's your thoughts on Brandon Beane and how this defense is constructed? Is this something that we need to add? Is it something that, like, Trey Hendrickson was available? We didn't do nothing about that. Micah Parsons was available. Obviously, that didn't happen. Like, no, I'm serious. Like, I got yelled at because I posted a video and I named Micah Parsons. I didn't say that the Bills should have been 100% in, but the Packers paid their quarterback and now they're paying Micah Parsons and they figured shit out. It's not just about this year. It's about building towards where you're at now. It's previous draft history. It's previous free agent signings. It's having guys on rookie deals that are actually bringing value to the team and producing. So what's your thoughts?
But they're not anymore because the guys that were valuable on rookie contracts just got paid. They're no longer, we don't have valuable people on rookie contracts. Like the 2023 draft class had Dalton Kincaid and Osiris Torrance. Those are the two somewhat difference makers out of that class. Kincaid looking better this year. I'm optimistic about Dalton Kincaid. I am. I still don't know if he's like okay, so let's just talk about the last 3 years as a whole. I did a little bit of math. I know that I said no notes, but I had to because I'm just pissed off. In the last 3 draft classes, the Buffalo Bills have made 24 selections. 24 of them. Is there a single player out of those 24 that you would say is a star at their position in the NFL?
No.
Not a one. James Cook in 2022 qualifies. He has emerged into being an actual star and he got paid like one. Christian Benford last year, I would have said so. This year, not as much.
Right.
So since 2022, add in another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks there. So that makes it 32 picks in the last 4 draft classes. You have James Cook.
Right.
Out of 32 picks that have hit. It just, you can't have this cold of a stretch drafting and be a Super Bowl contender. You cannot do it. The great teams in the league right now, last year's Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, built through the draft. Yeah, you went out and you got some stars via trade, which guess what? Brandon Beane should be doing, and he's not.
Right.
You went out and you traded for A.J. Brown a few years ago during the draft, and then still proceeded to have draft capital and still proceeded to draft great players. And I know that Howie Roseman is the best GM in the NFL. Absolutely. But that's how you do it. That's why they are as good as they are. Baltimore Ravens, they have drafted some guys that have gone on to be absolute studs, top of the league at their position on the defensive side of the ball. Kansas City Chiefs, same thing. Multiple teams around the league are drafting players that are becoming stars, and you've had a 4-year stretch where you have got one of them. Actually, let's take it back to 2021. Spencer Brown, Greg Rousseau. Greg Rousseau is mid at best as an edge rusher. Spencer Brown has gone on to become a very, very good right tackle. I think that probably qualifies. So add another 8 to the list. We're now at 40 picks in the last 5 draft classes with maybe 2 hits out of it that have gone on to become like actual stars. You cannot draft this poorly and expect to construct a Super Bowl championship roster. This roster, in my opinion, is a bottom 8 roster, 8 to 10 roster in the NFL right now, minus Josh Allen. Like, if you take Josh Allen out of this roster, this is a dumpster fire of a team. Like, your defense is not going to win you games. Like, other teams that have star quarterbacks have defenses that they can rely on if the offense is not having a great game. Right now, if Josh Allen does not put up 30 plus points, this team is losing. Like, period. That's how this team is built right now. This is how they are performing. So the roster construction, I have a huge problem with, especially when you're looking at like this year's draft class. Like you said, Landon Jackson was a 3rd round pick and he doesn't even get a shirt during games. Right. Like, what are we doing here? And I know Max is hurt, and that's still to be determined.
Right.
But hopefully he comes back and he's like an absolute lightning rod on the field and is making pick sixes and is shutting down speedy receivers and stuff like that, because you need an actual star on the defensive side, and they have not a one.
I mean, it was nice to see Ed Oliver back. I mean, you can't fault him for being injured, and it was nice, but he can't do it all by himself all the time. And to me, it's tough because we talk about Howie Roseman, and I get yelled at when I try to compare things to Howie Roseman because he's the cream of the crop. But they lost free agents that started on that defense last year. They let guys walk. And now, say what you want, they're 4-2 and they have some of their own issues, but I guarantee you they're going to figure it out. And I guarantee you, if they're still struggling, Howie Roseman is going to make moves at the trade deadline because he does not want to settle. The biggest thing to me is you went over all those draft picks, 40 picks since 2021. And we have no money. Like, we just paid guys that are a little above average to a little above average, all these extensions, minus take Josh Allen out of the equation, right? Because I'm just lost for words with the fact that are they gonna make a move? What can they do? You know what I mean? Like, how can they make moves when they have no money unless they can move a contract? That's the only thing. And I don't know who's willing to take on like an AJ Epinesa or a Curtis Samuel or something like that without trading something else. Like, I don't, and we all know how Brandon Beane feels about the draft picks. And I dropped a video this morning of something that I said this past Saturday before the Falcons game, is that Brandon Beane hoards the picks. But then if you turn around and look at the picks, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like if you're hoarding all these picks, the best trade you ever made was a first-round pick for Stefon Diggs. I don't care what people want to say about Stefon Diggs. You were able to say, I see that he is basically a first-round addition to this team. I can part with this. Why are you not going to look at a team and say, how much for Trey Hendrickson? We can get rid of some draft capital. We can move some money around, and we can bring in a guy that's going to directly help this team right now. Right now. It's just, I don't know, like, we talked before you and me went live, we talked about what happened last year, right? The Bills lost those 2 games and looked really bad against the Ravens, looked really bad offensively against the Texans. And then what does Brandon Beane do? He goes out and he gets a wide receiver who played good for 1 or 2 games, maybe disappeared in the postseason, didn't get re-signed, didn't really make a difference. You traded a 3rd-round pick for that. So what are we going to do now? He's got to see all the backlash. You have 2 weeks to sit on this, seeing that nobody's getting open downfield, nobody's getting separation. You don't have a guy on the roster that any other defense is concerned with.
Yeah.
So it's like they play man and they just say, okay, Josh, figure out who you're going to throw the ball to because nobody's open.
No one's beating man coverage in this offense.
That's what I'm saying. And so it's very layered because last night I put a tweet out last night and you did as well about James Cook.
Okay, let's get into Cook.
James Cook is, to me, the 2nd best offensive player. If you want to talk about,
it's not close.
Yeah, if you want to talk about Dawkins close. And Spencer Brown, it's fine. But as far as guys that are going to make plays and are going to be consistent, because I feel firm and I can stand on this saying that James Cook has been extremely consistent the last 20-something games, including last year's postseason. And you have a drive. You give him the ball 5 times. He has almost 40 yards rushing. You go down and you score because it opens other things up. The 4th quarter, he had 1 carry for 4 yards, and they completely went away from it. He wasn't on the field after the 11-minute mark. That is coaching malpractice. That is, and if Joe Brady's calling the plays, Sean McDermott still needs to be like, why is James Cook not on the field? And I don't want to even talk
during the game. Right. During the game, he needs to be going to him and being like, where's James? Yeah. Where's Jimbo? Get him on the field. It's malpractice. James Cook's snap count last night, 52.6%. This is the 7th highest paid running back in the National Football League. Okay. He is the engine of this offense, especially when the offense is dealing with injuries at the wide receiver position and the tight end position. You didn't
100%.
have Dalton Kincaid last night. You had banged up wide receivers on the outside.
And
Joshua
then
Palmer,
Samuel went out, or Palmer went out. Sorry.
who started the game looking really promising and had a big catch down the field and stuff like that, then gets hurt. So you down Kincaid, you're down Palmer. Where is James Cook? Second lowest snaps percentage of the season. His lowest was in the blowout win over the Jets where they didn't need him anymore. You needed him in this game. Cook was not on the field for any of the Bills' 9 plays on third down or their 1 4th down. He was not on the field a single third down. You are talking about a running back who was dominant as a pass catcher in college.
Yep.
And you're going to take him
100%.
off the field in passing downs. You're going to make it just that obvious to opposing defenses what you're doing. Like, why are you taking him off the field and putting in a Ty Johnson who is just going to either chip block or leak out in coverage?
Or he's going to run a route. Yeah.
He's going to run a route. James Cook, like, it's just so glaringly disappointing and obvious, the lack of creativity in the offense, which is so upsetting because that was Joe Brady's calling card. That's what we loved about him at first and like last season was the creativity, the scheme, the everybody eats because we're going to scheme them open. You're scheming a steaming pile of shit right now. You're not scheming anybody to be open, and you're not using your best playmaker at all. Watching the Atlanta Falcons and the way that they line up all over the place, the way that they put Bijan Robinson out in the slot, out wide, motion him in, motion 𝐿_GR, do all of this misdirection to put the defense in a bind, to confuse the linebackers, to create open looks for your best playmaker. I'm just sitting there going, damn, why can't we have that? Why are we not using James Cook in this way? Why are we not getting him touches? He has, I think, 13 targets, 14 targets through 6 games.
Yeah.
He has 1 target the last 2 weeks. Guess what? You lost both of them. I came on here talking about it. I think it was in the Jets game. I can't remember which game, but how, hey, the run game was not working early, so they started getting him involved in the passing game. And then he did his damage there. Great. Awesome decision making. Get the ball to your best player. Seems pretty fucking obvious. And now we're just going to completely go away from James Cook. We're going to take him off the field entirely on third down. I saw 1 wheel route last night, and Josh didn't throw it. He didn't pull the trigger. James was going out to the left, up the left sideline, beat the linebacker, and I would throw it. Like, I just yelled at my TV.
I did the same thing.
And he didn't let it fly. I don't know where the safety was. Like, I don't know where the safety was.
He wasn't in the screen. It doesn't matter. He wasn't in the screen. Josh could have got it to him. He wasn't even in the screen. He would have got it to him.
Yeah, he could have put it on him. But just, man, the lack of usage for your best playmaker in a game that you are trailing in the second half with injured wide receivers and tight ends is baffling. And not only that, he was averaging over 5 yards a carry in that game.
Yeah.
It's not like he wasn't productive.
He had almost 100 yards last night.
I know, which
he had 87 yards. It's like it
didn't feel like it.
Yeah, because it was on 2 drives.
Right.
It was on 2 drives. To me, I just and again, and I understand if you guys are watching, we're kind of all over the place, and this is what John and myself we agreed to kind of do. We're just kind of, as things are coming, we're going to talk about it. So to me, like, why does it feel like Joe Brady just forgot how to do the most basic shit? Like, that drive that the Bills scored on in was it the third quarter when they finally, when they got, it was the first drive of the third quarter. Like, dump off, easy route, stuff that was easy for Josh, handoff to Cook, handoff to Cook. He was getting 7, 12, 8, 5, 7 at a clip. And then all of a sudden, like, it's gone. Like, you're down by 1 score in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And you go 3 and out twice because you passed all 3 downs. The Bills punted 6 times last night. Can you remember a game last year where the Bills punted 6 times? I don't understand it. And everybody wants to talk about the offensive line and how good they were last year and how we have a good 5 and it's a core and it's great that they're able to start all the games together this year. Josh Allen's going to get sacked about 3 times as much as he was last year. He was sacked 14 times all of last year.
He's at 12 now.
Yeah, he's already at 12 in week 6.
Yep.
So do we want our franchise quarterback just getting completely annihilated every single? Now I understand.
Well,
Josh Allen.
let's also back up a little bit there, because part of the reason why he's taking the sacks and why he threw the interceptions and why he's not looking as good, he's forcing it.
Right.
Like, he's having to hold the ball because no one's open downfield. He's trying to do too much. He doesn't feel like the plays are there. And listen, this is obviously me speculating. It's not like I'm going, hey, Josh, what are you thinking? Like, speculation, though, he's holding the ball because it looks like no one's open, or he's not seeing it, or the design isn't there, or whatever it is. And some of it is his own decision making. He's missing some open guys. He's forcing it into places that he shouldn't, which is when this offense was so successful in clicking last year and very early this year. It looked like it was so effortless and he could do no wrong and everything was schemed up so beautifully. And then all of a sudden, I don't understand what happened to the offensive scheme. It's like Brady turned into the head coach from the water boy on the blackboard. Like, he pretends to go left. He thinks about going left. It's like, God damn, dude. Like, I don't get it. And some of this is on Josh for sure, but it's because the entire system and the lack of separation downfield and defenses, they're not playing zone anymore. They're just like, all right, cool. We're just going to man up because we're not scared.
Yeah.
And because they're just manning up and the wide receivers aren't winning, Josh is having to hold the ball or force it or take off and run.
And what I don't get either is the Falcons were without their starting slot corner. I thought for sure that 𝐾𝐿 would have just been eating, and to me, what frustrates me about Joe Brady is, like, he sees a nail, like everything's a fucking nail. It's like, bubble screen didn't work. Okay, next drive, bubble screen didn't work. Hit the nail. Okay, next drive, it's got to work this time. We're going to do a bubble screen again. Like, 3rd and 1, and you're running that, whatever that reverse was, to Elijah Moore. Like, why are we doing that? You have Josh Allen. Let him
and James Cook.
Exactly. You do a tush push. Who cares if it's ugly and nobody likes it and we all complain about the Eagles doing it? If you need to get a first down and you need to extend a drive, do a fucking tush push. Who cares? Like, that's what, like, the times when we want to just be straightforward and do high percentage plays or just do things that you think are going to work, just do it. Don't try to get cute. Like, McDermott even said last night, like, he was asked about, like, separation and guys getting open and Josh getting hit and stuff like that. And McDermott threw Brady under the bus and he said, it's not good. We can't have that. Like, we need to scheme guys open. Like, we got to figure this out. So I just,
here's on that note, here's like the vicious circle within the Bills front office. Okay. Brandon Beane does not add separators into this room. And he goes on and says, everybody eats and it's fine. Then we go into a game and it doesn't work and there's no separators. And Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott says, we need to do better and we need to scheme them open. So then Joe Brady tries to scheme them open and it doesn't work. And, we need separators. And then Brandon Beane says, well, we don't need separators. Everyone's eating. And it just goes like this, around and around and around and around.
Yep.
And it's just, I feel crazy. Like, listen, everybody eats was cute when it's working. But right now, nobody's eating. Like, it's just not working. No one is open because the defenses have adjusted to the personnel that we have on the field. I don't understand it. Like, it's just so infuriating to me that we're just in this cycle. And I don't know what the solution is. Like, the obvious solution, and there's a lot of people on Twitter or X or whatever the hell you want to call it, I don't care, I'm old, is just, we'll just go get a number 1 wide receiver. Well, that's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
Who's actually going to be available? What teams are going to be trading someone away? I floated the idea before we hopped on of AJ Brown because of how pissed off he is in Philly right now. I don't know that would fly in Philly. Like, they'd be
okay. Let me hold on. Is Joe Brady going to be able to scheme him open? Is he going to be pissed off here because he's not getting targets? Because that's not the mantra of our offense. Our offense is dink, dunk, dink, dunk, dink, dunk. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, And I went heavy. I went heavy on the WGR guys in the offseason in the spring when, they were talking about the wide receiver position. We didn't do anything in the draft. And then Bean went on there and said, hey, look, we scored 30 points a game last year. Offense wasn't the problem. It was the defense. And I went heavy at those WGR guys. But now I understand because like you said, everyone eats is cool. But when everybody's starving, it's not cool. Like when we have to do this 2 years in a row because of so let me ask you a question. Do you think that Brandon Bean has brought in players to fit into what Joe Brady wants to do offensively?
Yes.
As far as wide receivers.
Yes, other than Keon.
Okay.
I don't
so let me ask you this. For the future, what happens if Joe Brady gets a head coaching position? Because now we have all these everybody eats, do your 111th, whatever you want to call it, wide receivers. And what if do we have to find an offensive coordinator that is just like Joe Brady? Or what if we find some magical, innovative guy that's got, an impeccable offense that we can't live without and tie him with Josh Allen, pair him together. So now what do we do with all these wide receivers that are a bunch of 3s and 4s? What do we do then?
I have no idea.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I completely agree.
Everything goes back to Brandon Bean and how this roster's been constructed. Yes, there's some blame on Sean McDermott and the two coordinators, but I feel like guys, yes, they're not executing, but what are we asking those guys to do? Are we asking guys to do things that they can't do? Cole Bishop, are we asking him to play a position that he's maybe not an NFL starting safety? You know what I'm saying?
I still like Cole Bishop as a box safety. I'm cool with that. I think he needs an actual running mate that's not Taylor Rapp. He needs an actual ball hawk back there with speed and range that can close on the ball, that can close on players, that can dislodge the ball at the catch point, that can actually tackle in space. I like Bishop as a box safety, and I think that we've seen some growth from him this year. I just think that the other deficiencies are putting him in bad situations a lot of the time. Although his tackling is not as good as you want to see from a box safety. So that is a concern for me. But to your point about the roster, I completely agree. And we talked about it already a little bit this year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He's drafting a defensive line of like all 3 techs. What's going to happen if we have a new defensive coordinator, or if we end up getting to the point where Sean McDermott gets fired? Now you have a roster with a bunch of 3 techs. Like I don't understand. Why do I sound crazy? Explain that to me. I don't get what I sound crazy about.
So last night, because Daquan Jones got injured during warmups, Deion Walker was playing. He played 80% of the snaps next to Ed Oliver, who played 79% of the snaps. So you have 2 3 techs playing, because Deion Walker to me is a 3 tech. He does not play like a 1 tech. So you have no guy that plays like a traditional 1 tech playing almost the entire game.
Yeah.
So, and to me, if
against
you look
the best running back in the NFL.
And if you look at how the active roster was last night, so you had Ed Oliver, who's coming off a foot injury. You had Deion Walker, who's a rookie, and a practice squad guy in Jordan Phillips. And those are your 3 defensive tackles last night. So why didn't we call up defensive tackles? But we had like 11 or 12 corners or DBs active last night, because Brandon Codrington takes up a fucking roster spot for 21-yard returns every single time. 21-yard returns every single time. Runs right into a pile every single time. I don't even want to get started on that. I don't know. I'm honestly concerned, because a lot of people are talking about, well, the Bills do this every year. And I told you before we came live, I posted something earlier today saying that the Bills have lost 2 games in a row. Every year that Sean McDermott's been a head coach, the Bills will turn it around. This is what they do. October sucks for them. It's a lull. They'll figure it out. They got to buy. Josh is pissed. You can tell they'll figure it out. Okay, well, watching that team play the last 2 weeks is not doing anything in the postseason. I'm sorry. They're not.
No.
And the way the Chiefs are now playing, I don't want to play the Colts. I don't want to play the Chargers. Like, there's teams that are going to be able to just score at will on the Bills. And if
Denver concerns me.
Yeah, and if Sean Payton gets his head out of his ass, that team's going to be tough. But if the offense and Josh isn't perfect, which we are asking for a lot, if he is not perfect, which means guys are getting open, the Bills are being able to run the ball, the offensive line is blocking, Josh is clean most of the game, and he's able to do that, he has to be perfect for this team to be competitive.
I said that earlier. I'm like, this team has to score 30 plus to win games. Your defense is not going to win you a game. It is Josh. Wherever Josh can take it.
When was the last time? And now, mind you, I'll preface this by saying we have a defensive-minded head coach, which got him hired because of how good he was in Carolina and Philadelphia. When was the last time the Bills' defense actually won them a game where it was like, man, these guys are on it. The opposing team can't do anything. Our offense is struggling. Thank you, defense, for helping will this team to victory. When was the last time? Probably 23, right?
Yeah, I'm struggling to think
when McDermott was calling plays, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, this all goes back to sense of urgency. Every game has to be a sense of urgency win because you started 4-0. You were in the driver's seat all off season. The 1 seed. We need the 1 seed. Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, Josh Allen, the 1 seed, the 1 seed, the 1 seed, something we've never done. Every game you should play how you played last night in the second half on defense when you were getting after the quarterback. You were doing exotic things that were confusing the Falcons. You were stopping the run at times. Like, I mean, I understand we're not going to be going up against Bijan Robinson every single week, but like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I watched Derrick Henry, not this past week, but last week, he had like 15 yards.
Yeah.
On like 12 carries. Like it's if you could do it, if you scheme it the right way. And again, is this personnel or is it coaching? How we started the show is how we're right back to it. And
it's a combo of the two. I think part of it is just McDermott's coaching style is he does play it so conservative so early. But if you miss early, you put yourself in a hole.
Right.
Well, then you're just asking Josh Allen to bail you out and the defense to try and like hold the line as much as possible in the second half while Josh Allen makes a comeback. How about just starting aggressive on defense and winning a damn football game? Like, I don't know, just come out and do that. So here's like, they are going to figure some things out. This is not all like completely doom and gloom. However, it's really, really upsetting. And it goes to what you just said. You were in the driver's seat for the 1 seed. Chiefs and Ravens were shit to start the year. Horrible. Ravens still are. They're down bad. But the Chiefs are coming. They're 3-3 now. And after the bye, we have the Panthers, and then we host the Chiefs.
Right.
Like, they could close the gap by the time that game is over on November 2nd. Yeah. Like, we had, what, a 4-game lead for the 1 seed, and it could be gone by the first weekend in November.
On the Chiefs, yeah.
Like, that's infuriating that it's there. And that's why these games mattered. Like, I know the Patriots are better. I know that they're improved. We talked about it before the season. I'm a huge Drake May guy. Loved him as a prospect. I fully believe that they got their dude in Drake May, which is upsetting.
Right.
But they did. But back to back against them and now the Falcons, who the Falcons were exactly what you knew they were going to be. It's just Bijan Robinson and Drake London. And like, that's it. And they just cooked you completely on it. I think the biggest issue and the biggest like reason why I'm so pissed is because it was just so easy to see this all coming. Like, we've been watching it for, the better part of 2 months now, where it's just like, okay, they have these flaws and these could be the fatal flaws that kill this thing. Yes, I expect them to be better coming out of the bye. Listen, if you lose to the Panthers, just you oh my God, you clean house. Like, I don't know. If you lose to the Panthers 3 in a row into
the Panthers,
a horrible NFC
the Panthers
South
beat the Panthers beat the Falcons 30-0.
I know. Talk about NFL parody. It's just really upsetting because these are all things that you knew were problems and the problems aren't getting addressed. Now, I expect this team to course correct to a degree. Hopefully when it comes to the Chiefs, they just like get up for it. You know what I mean? And like, you raise it to another level. It's
they better get up for every game.
Well, they have to, yeah. And like, it's like they started just frustrated and discombobulated and conservative in this game. You can't do that the rest of the season. The Panthers, okay, you should win that one. But we said the same thing about the Dolphins, and that one was close at the end. Like, okay, then you have Chiefs. Problem. Dolphins, you should beat them again. Buccaneers,
Yeah. Good luck.
good luck. Houston, I don't know. Nico Collins scares me. And the way that our secondary is playing right now, like, I don't know. Maybe that's a problem. Steelers playing really good football. Bengals without Joe Burrow, not really much to be concerned with there. Patriots, the Browns defense, the Eagles, and then you get the Jets for the last game of the year, and the Jets are going for the first overall pick. But there are a lot of tough games on the schedule left. Chiefs, Bucks, Steelers, Patriots, Browns, Eagles. 6 tough games after the bye with the way that this team looks right now. If you only go 500 in those games, it's not a great feeling. Like, it's just, it's not. And I think the reason why we're so upset about everything and there's so much frustration is because this is supposed to be a Super Bowl team. It's not like the expectations are, well, hopefully we make the playoffs and we build on that next year. This team's done the building. They've done that. You have Josh. You have your unicorn potential Hall of Fame quarterback locked up forever. And it just feels like the team is not doing enough to surround him and put this team in a position to win. You can't just ask Josh to win every game.
That's what they're doing, though.
Do that. I know.
That's what Beane's doing.
And he's been doing it for years.
And I feel like that's trickled down into the coaching staff. They feel like, well, Josh is going to do something. And for the last 2 weeks, he hasn't done anything. There's been a couple times when he's looked okay, but he hasn't looked right since the Ravens game, if I'm being honest. There's been some plays sprinkled in here and there. And I don't want to say that maybe something happened when he busted his nose and maybe he needs to throw the fucking visor in the trash. But like, I don't know. He hasn't looked right since the Ravens game. He's looked okay. He just hasn't looked like last year's Josh. And I feel like there's film out on Brady's offense. And they're just saying the Bills can't. And Diggs even said it last week when Josh kept doing the sneaks. He said on the sideline, that's all they got. That's all they got in the pass game. They can't beat us in the pass game. That's all they have. And he's not wrong. Hate the guy or you know, whatever you want. But like, I don't. And again, like you talked about AJ Brown, like okay, that's an offensive piece, but this defense needs help. And what are we going to do defensively? We have no money. And like, what are we going to do that's going to fix something? We need a CB2, but are we going to wait for Maxwell Hairston? What if he's not good to go? They haven't opened the 21-day window for him yet. Like, there's a lot of stuff. And I understand there's those positive Bills fans out there that are always going to say they do this every year. It's going to be okay. They're going to figure it out. They have a bye. They're going to figure it out. This for the first time in a while.
Really, Buffalo? Really?
What?
All the problems and injuries at the linebacker position, and they just released Jimmy Carlin.
Yeah, I don't.
Why?
I got nothing. Nothing. So, anyways, I don't know what the answer is, and I guess venting about it and being frustrated is what this is, and I don't know where we go from here. Like I said, the title of the show is "Where do we go from here?" You know, I mean,
I don't know,
because Josh Allen looked like 2023 Josh Allen the last 2 weeks. He's making bad decisions. And I understand there's probably some confidence issues and trust issues with who's around him and who he's throwing the ball to. But like, it wasn't an issue against the Ravens when you put up 400 yards. Like, it wasn't an issue when you needed to score touchdowns. You score touchdowns. Like, I don't know. I don't want to keep going around in circles, but I'm beating my head against the wall. So you got any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
I have a really hard time seeing how Brandon Beane makes impactful moves that solve problems. This is going to have to be on the coaches to be able to change the messaging, the attitude, the scheme. Like, you're gonna have to work with what you have. Yeah, maybe Bean can go get something done. Yeah, add a couple pieces. Maybe you get a 𝐟𝐸𝐫�should from New Orleans, and that gives you a speed element on the outside. Like you might be able to add something. But even if you were to make a splash for an A.J. Brown, well, then you're completely changing your offensive philosophy in order to feed a wide receiver one, which I don't know if Joe Brady, one, wants to do, two, would be able to do in short order, to just basically say, okay, scrap it. Let's change the playbook and change the scheme to make sure that we're focusing on AJ. Like, I just don't know if that's realistic. So you might get a speedster to try and stretch the defense a little bit and help there. But yeah, all that you need is better safety play, better linebacker play, a true one tech, better pressure from your edges. Let's see what else you need. A true wide receiver one, more reliance on the ground game where you actually involve James Cook. Oh, start getting James Cook involved in the passing game. Oh, stop shooting yourself in the foot with penalties. Get back to winning the turnover battle every week, which they haven't done each of the last 2 weeks. Other than that, this team looks great. So there's a lot of issues on this roster right now. Bean's not going to be able to fix them all. He simply won't. We don't have the resources to do it. You might get one or two additions that help. Great. But this is going to be on the coaching staff to change how they're attacking opposing teams, how they are game planning for them, the decision-making, and the general messaging about this team. Like, they better come out of this bye week on the first drive against the Panthers, just like chomping at the bit to kick ass on both sides of the ball. Like, I want to see some shot plays. I want to see James Cook involved in the passing game on the first fucking drive. Like, they better come out blazing. I expected them to do it last night and they didn't. Like, that's what's so upsetting. You lost to the Patriots. I expected it to happen last night and they didn't. So I don't know, man. It's hard to be optimistic. I know the team's 4-2. I know this is probably a playoff team. But I have a hard time looking at this team as like a serious threat to the Super Bowl right now with the problems on the roster.
Yeah, the energy that I'm getting from the players is very
defeated.
Well, it resembles when they were 6-6 a couple years ago, and they just look like, gee, you know what I'm saying? Like, Josh just looked defeated, and that I'll never forget. That was the year that he threw the 3 picks on the opening night against the Jets, and he just looked like these are shit play calls. Like, I can't. What do you want me to do? I have nobody to throw the ball to. Nobody's getting open, so I'm forcing shit. That's basically what I felt like he wanted to say. But Josh did the right thing, and he said it's on me. Whatever. I have something that might actually start to fix the problem. Do you want to know what that is?
Yes.
Sean McDermott needs to call plays on defense.
Take
that shit away from Bobby Babich. Make him a defensive assistant or whatever you want to do with that. I'm not saying get rid of Bobby Babich. There's probably some value there, but Sean McDermott needs to take over and say he needs to come out against the Panthers the week of the Panthers and say, I have taken over play calling duties for the defense. And then maybe that sparks a fire under somebody's ass on that defense or a few guys or whatever. And we see some sort of results, because right now the guys just look lethargic. They just look like we're just here. Somebody put a tweet out yesterday that said, if you're Coach McDermott, what do you say to this team at halftime? I say, if you're Coach McDermott, you walk in that locker room and say, raise your hand if you want to play football. Like that. Oh, can we start there? Like, anybody want to play tonight? Like, because, you know, we don't have anybody on the field. The 46 that are dressed aren't participating. So other than that, that's gonna do it. We went almost an hour, usually about 30 minutes, but we had to get a nice vent session therapy in here. I think hopefully next week we could start looking forward to the Panthers game. Maybe there's some news, some signings, some trades. That Jimmy Charlo thing is, I don't know if they're, because he was on the active roster, so I don't know if they're freeing up roster space for something, or if it's just a move. Maybe somebody's coming off IR. I don't know. We'll see. But
could be Max.
Yeah, could be Max. So maybe they open his window up. But all right, for John Helmkamp, I'm Dave Myers. Hopefully next week we'll be in a little bit better spirits. Thank you all for joining our therapy session. And as always, go Bills.